And it is the People's Hero. Top of your screen, Jesse Piland on mono green Landfall, but on the bottom, it is Brian Zeng on Rakdos Rummaging. Here we go, Saz's Chocobo kicking things off.
And a Bloodthorn Flail here from Brian Zeng. And can Jesse follow this up with Badger Mole Cub? That would be the ideal thing to play here on turn number 2. Promising Vein into Esper Origins. Less exciting. This is often the type of card that you're wanting to be putting into your graveyard off of Icetail Explorer activations. That gives you basically a spell-like effect that you can cast out of the graveyard here, but still allows you to smooth out your draws.
Right. So, Jesse is the player that we saw earlier on in the Swiss today, playing the full 4 copies of Esper Origins. So very much embracing this card as one of the pillars of the deck, in his opinion. Brian's side, of course, this Rakdos Rummaging deck is brand new to the format, right? It's almost entirely enabled by Cool But Rude. Previous versions of this deck had to be Monument decks simply because they needed what Monument gave the deck in terms of that extra push in power. So it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the printing of Cool But Rude that gave it this push to exist independent of Monument.
Yeah, it's really interesting because we've seen a lot of lists that have Cool But Rude and Monument, and I think at least for Brian and maybe some of his teammates that chose to play this deck, their conclusion was likely, hey, that's just a little bit too slow. Like, at the end of the day, we are a Rakdos aggressive strategy. Let's play more creatures, let's beat down, and just play the Cool But Rude, but not play the Monument.
And one of the creatures that they do play unique to them is Inti, Cynical of the Sun. So, that comes down, but Mono Green will do Mono Green things as Jesse Piland has an Earthbender Ascension here on turn 3. That's part of the power of Esper Origins, smoothing out your draws and making sure you get to do this more consistently.
All right, but free equip, and that is a Flamewake Phoenix. Hits a Bloodthorn Flail off of the Inti trigger here, so nice little synergy there with all the different ways to discard in this deck. So can play that Bloodthorn Flail for free, get in for a lot of damage potentially here, right? I mean, you can play this Flail as well. You can use that to equip the Inti if you like, and get that Flamewake Phoenix back in play. That would be a minimum of 8 damage coming in this turn.
Right, and the Inti trigger might make that 9 as well. There's a lot of damage being represented here.
Yeah, I mean, what if there's another Flamewake Phoenix in the graveyard?
Or Bloodghast. Oh, okay.
Okay, all right.
Does he have the land?
Do you have the land here to get both of the... He was really kind of maybe hoping to hit the land off the top here.
Entirely possible. We're going to find out here.
I suppose you can just keep discarding and getting more triggers if you really want to find a mountain.
That is how the game works, and that's what he is currently looking to press on. Actually plays the Mako, says, if I'm going to keep discarding, I may as well start growing another creature.
Oh my gosh.
Fear of missing out. That's not a land.
Right, but that triggers the Mako here as well. You get an extra counter. I don't know.
That one's not being cast this turn,
right, that one can't be cast. Does Brian have a land to play here?
Does.
Wow.
Oh, boy.
What a turn.
This is. All right, this is spicy now.
Yeah, so now we have the 6 damage coming in from the Inti. Of course, one of the Flamewake Phoenixes also entering the battlefield here. A almost purely racing situation here because, of course, Jesse also has Brian down to 12 life.
8. Discarding Cool But Rude. 1 counter on the Mako, has an Inti counter to place.
Yeah, putting a counter on the Flamewake Phoenix, it seems. It is an evasive creature here. What do we got here off the top?
Bloodghast.
All right, so that one is also not being cast.
9?
Okay.
Is that 9?
9, so Jesse Piland down to 13. What a turn, by the way. Right? I mean, just the number of permanents that enter the battlefield this turn.
Look, I'm going to say you and I have seen Brian on Feature Match a few times now. One of them was even a win. But so far, we haven't really seen the Rakdos Rummaging deck do the thing, right? the really, like, this is why this deck in a hyper powerful standard environment. This is a competitive deck. This is why you're here. This is why you were able to keep up and make the top 8 and have a good result. What makes this deck so strong it's draws like this.
Absolutely. I mean, these are kind. We call it kind of free wins, right? If you have that, you have a certain percentage of hands where you can pull off something like this, you just have access to those free wins. When you talk about the mono green landfall deck, oftentimes it's Land of Elves, Badgermole Cub into Earthbender Ascension. If you look at the Rakdos Rummaging, this is what you want.
Right. And this is also, in my opinion, lending itself heavily to how strong Inti is in the deck, right? We saw the number of cards deep that Brian was able to go simply with an Inti and a Flail and nothing else.
Yeah,
right?
Just find whatever you need and just kind of continue just playing a bunch of permanents off the top.
Right, and that is the reason that perhaps Brian and his team slash co-conspirators, as it were, opted to bring this version of a Rummaging deck.
Yeah, now Brian, while Jesse Piland is thinking about what to do this turn to, perhaps try to go for a lethal attack and also try to survive the following turn. Because, look, there's a 3/3 Flamewake Phoenix on the battlefield here. There's a couple of flails in play. You can even put that onto the Phoenixes, right, just to give you more damage in the sky. And there's one more in the yard. So Brian kind of has to kind of run the numbers and figure out, what can I do here? How many things can I give trample to something to force through damage? Do I have a lethal attack?
Right, and this is not a game of chip damage.
No.
It usually isn't with Mono Green Landfall, but now you're on the receiving end of it as well, where it's, I have to have a Haymaker turn because my opponent is going to have a Haymaker turn.
Yeah. And I think we're starting to approach the point where Jesse does need to make a play there. He has been taking for quite some time on this turn.
Yes, the top 8 is untimed. You can see the timer on the screen. That's ticking up, not down. But as always with the game of Magic, there is a heavy requirement and imperative on you to make plays and decisions in a timely manner.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if Jesse had a Mightform Harmonizer there, perhaps that would have changed the equation here. But I think with just the ability to put singular counters on things, I don't think he has quite enough here, especially through that Marauding Mako, to get in for a lethal attack.
So, Saz's Chocobo up to 5, Earthbender Ascension up to 3 counters. Not quite online yet, but of course it can be at any time with Promising Vein on the battlefield.
Yeah, and if Jesse doesn't have a lethal attack, he might even want to consider keeping back the Saz's Chocobo, given the fact that we could have a very large trampling ground creature in play with that Inti.
Right. Okay, so Esper Origins comes back. Summon Esper Meduin. Taking a look at the top 2.
And that does pad your life total, gains you 2 life. Could be very, very important here. Yeah, because right now, at least if you're on Brian's side, you've got the 3/3 Flamewake Phoenix. You got one in the yard. Of course, you're going to be able to put that into play. You could even move the flails over if you'd like. We are looking at least 9 damage in the air with those combinations of cards.
Right. If we assume that everything represented on board right now does the maximum allowed damage, that's 10 with the Inti card added.
Right.
So that's the minimum. That's our baseline. That means Brian needs to find 5 more.
Right.
Now, there's 3 creatures and only 2 blockers from Jesse. So that in and of itself means that one of the 3 creatures is getting in for a minimum of 2 additional.
Right.
That's 12
damage.
So 3 points of damage is what Brian needs to find in order to close out the game here, knowing that he's very likely dead on the crack back.
Right. An extra Flamewake Phoenix would obviously be fantastic here. Another Bloodthorn Flail, perhaps.
All right, time to do some math. There is an Inti on the battlefield. Every card in the hand that doesn't do anything can be turned into something that potentially does.
Right, and every time you discard, the Marauding Mako also grows, so you might just want to at least give that the ability to have trample because, you have a couple of looks here, right? Every time you discard, you get to reveal a card off the top of your library with that Inti.
Right. The black die on Summon Esper Meduin is not +1/+1. That is a finality counter. So, 6 toughness from the Chocobo, 4, if I'm not mistaken, from Esper Meduin. Is that right?
That's 10 toughness on the battlefield.
10 toughness on the battlefield.
Yeah, Jesse just understanding his role here because you don't have enough for the win this turn, just doing everything you can to make sure that Bryant can close it out this turn.
Right.
Yeah, this is such a big turn, right? I mean, this is almost a close to a make or break situation where you have to be kind of afraid. If Jesse gets to untap here with all that mana for the Esper, the Stasis Chocobo, and the Earthbender Ascension on 4, there's a good shot Jesse might be able to close it out on his turn.
Right. What we said about Jesse on the previous turn also applies to Brian on this turn. Does have to make decisions in a timely manner, but I think both players here having that mutual respect of the situation, the position in the top 8, the complicated aspect of the turns, and allowing each other to take that extra moment to think through these turns.
Yeah. So trample or not, I think a fairly easy. I think you kind of have to decide where you want to move the flail. But when you move the flail over to the Phoenix, that is just a guaranteed 2 points of damage. So might want to lead things off with that. Of course, we don't know what's in Brian's hand here.
Right. Well, now we're getting a look. That's a cool but rude.
That is a cool but rude, but doesn't have the mana to play it and activate the discard trigger. Right. That would make things a lot easier.
That would completely change the math here.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, basically, if things attack here from Brian's side, Bloodghast would be the creature that kind of gets through. You're going to be wanting to put your biggest creatures on both the Mako and the Inti that's in play.
Right. All right, Brian doing the final math because a play does need to be made.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like you kind of just want to lead things off with moving the Bloodthorn Flail and seeing what you hit off of the Inti. But maybe not. Maybe there is another flail here?
Yeah, if you have a land, then you want to go cool but rude, level up. Right. But clearly that's not there because otherwise that would have happened already.
Right.
This is a reminder that if you got at least 10 match points in this tournament.
All right, step 1, tapping a land.
I mean, look, we're in the top 8 here. Certainly a lot of pressure.
But
Jesse certainly spent. I don't think Jesse's in any spot to, of course, pressure Brian into making a play. But of course, we need to figure out something to do here because he hasn't even made any indication of making any decision this turn.
Right, we are approaching a 2.5, 3 minute turn without any action being taken. That is not really acceptable at this level of play, especially in a top 8.
Okay, playing out the Mako, interesting. So that's something that you do when you're setting up for a potentially longer game here, right? Because now you don't have that extra card to discard, and it's not like this Mako can attack this turn.
Right. So, just going to combat.
Okay.
Not even moving a flail.
Right.
Play very defensive. And it is going to be Phoenixes potentially as the only attackers.
Right. I mean, that's what it seems like here. Attacking with the pair of Phoenixes. You still get that Inti trigger here that would grow both of the Makos. Maybe you can hit something off the top. So Rummage, double Mako trigger.
Discard's cool but rude.
All right. One there. Second counter on the Phoenix, I assume. Oh.
That was the Inti counter.
Oh, excuse me. You are absolutely correct.
Counters.
Right, that's right. Right.
And, okay.
A card you can't
exile.
cast. Yeah. Okay, so that's just 5 damage coming in, and we do have lots of toughness available here, so it might be pretty difficult here for Jesse to actually close out the game on this side. So this kind of is Brian trying to set up for a 2-turn kill, right? Get you down to 9 and then move the flails over on the following turn. What is Jesse's turn here?
Right, that was Carnage, Crimson, Chaos being exiled. That's gone. Jesse down to 9, and we are back on Mono Green Landfall's turn. 2 mana floating, +2, Ice Till Explorer, and here we go.
Oh, Mindform Harmonizer, and that should lock it up.
All right.
Wow. Wow.
So,
in one turn there, I mean, Brian, of course, figuring out what he needed to do, probably maybe decided that it was going to be very difficult to find that extra 2 or 3 points of damage and kind of went for the 2-turn kill. But, of course, Jesse kind of had it all there.
Right. This really is the nature of those turns. The reason those 2 turns were so complicated, not to approve or condone the amount of time they took, but to explain, the reason they were so complicated is because the next turns were very likely to look like this from both sides, where either you kill me, or if you don't kill me, I kill you, and that's how it played out. So, on to sideboarding. Jesse Piland on Monogreen Landfall takes game one. We're going to start by looking at Rakdos Rummaging, Paul. How are we sideboarding here?
Yeah, so if you're on the Rakdos Rummaging side, you're certainly going to be looking to bring in any type of anti-creature removal that you can have. So the copy of the Requiting Hex, I'd imagine, coming in, along with the Bitter Triumph here from Brian Zeng. You could also make the argument that Intimidation Tactics could come in. I don't know if you want to do that on the player draw. Maybe you want to be a little bit more aggressive, given that you're on the play. Maybe you're on the draw. Then maybe you want to bring in the tactics. So those are some of the things that I would be looking to bring in. I don't think you're going to see something like a Duress or a Soul Guide Lantern come in. Perhaps a Karsi Revenant if you want to just have another evasive creature, and also just something with Death Touch to maybe stop some of the, My Form Harmonizer stuff. So I can see something like that here from Brian Zeng.
All right, on the other side, Mono Green Landfall up a game and going into the sideboarding. What are you looking at from here?
Yeah, so if Jesse's looking to play kind of a more defensive setup here, given that he's on the draw here, there's a lot of different directions you can go. You see the 2 copies of the Eumidian Terrabotanist. Now, that is a card that just gains you a bunch of life, right? It's a 2-drop. You can trade with some of the early aggression that Brian Zeng can represent, while also, if it just kind of stays in play and you're casting Earthbender Ascensions, it can gain you 4, 6, 8 life over the course of a game. Additionally, one card that's interesting, maybe this is only something that you would play on the play, is the 4 copies of Mossborn Hydra. The reason being, usually Rakdos decks have a lot of removal, but here, Brian doesn't have a lot. He's got 3 copies of Requiting Hex that actually doesn't deal with it. He's got a singleton Bitter Triumph and a second copy of Bitter Triumph in the sideboard. So, Mossborn Hydra has a very, very high chance of surviving, allowing you to perhaps outrace some of those explosive starts from the Rakdos Rummaging deck.
And a little bit of meta information here is we saw Brian actually ask Jesse if he could read Mossborn Hydra. So it was something that was in his mind as they were preparing to sideboard, as I think this is a card that might be coming in the matchup. So that's something that he was getting more information on. So we'll give the players a moment to make the considerations and finish sideboarding. And I will remind you that if you've ever found yourself wondering, wait a second, there's an event happening? I didn't know that was going on. Well, that probably means you are not subscribed to the Scarcity Games newsletter, because it is the way for you to find out about new set releases like Magic the Gathering Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, events coming up like SCGCon Cincinnati happening May 15th to 17th, or sales like the one we have happening this weekend for 10% off Commander set singles. If any of these, or just being informed, is something that interests you, head over to starcitygames.com/newsletter to sign up now and never miss out again. We have a match happening, and the players are done sideboarding. They are shuffling up for game 2. Reminder of what happened: Jesse Piland took game 1 with Mono Green Landfall, and it really was a position where play draw decided everything, because whoever untapped the next turn was going to win the game, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely there. And Brian, of course, had that final turn, and I wonder if he's thinking, was there a world? Is there something I could have done had I just gone for it there? It kind of took Jesse to have multiple cards there to actually close out the game, right? Of course, you needed the Might Form Harmonizer with the Icestill Explorer, so that, of course, is just infinite damage with the Earthbender Ascension. So, yeah, you're going to be probably thinking about that final turn, but, of course, ultimately he decided to go for the 2-turn clock here, but Jesse, of course, ended up taking that down as a result.
Right. The number of cards in hand with Inti exiling rather than drawing meant that the number of cards in hand was ultimately limited for Brian. We saw him end that turn, start that turn, with 2 cards total to work with, and that meant had to have the perfect hit of a land potentially to even go for things. But Cool But Rude being limited, because all of these effects are rummage effects, meaning that if you don't have that card to discard initially, the rummage loop will never begin. And those were all the various complicated things that Brian went through in the thought process of deciding that turn. So I'm going to trust him when he thinks that he didn't have lethal there. So game 2 now, and we get Rakdos Rummaging on the play. We'll see him get another shot at it.
Brian on the play this time, though, and quickly mulliganing here, it looks like. But both sides not happy with their 7.
One good mulligan deserves another as Jesse Piland joins Brian going down to 6. And you do see those 6s being represented. So, while they play on, we will get a quick look in at Michael Paluda, and it looks like the process of taking down game 1 over there on Mono Green Landfall against Simon Byrne on Is It Spelemental. So, I wanted to give you a small preview of what was happening. The preview is Mono Green Landfall up a game over there. That game was also a long one here, taking just about 20 minutes. But our main feature is drawing their hands, so let's go back down there as we look at mulligans to 6 and see if our players find some keepable hands.
Yeah, I think I might have snuck a peek at a sapling nursery on Michael Paluda's side here, which, of course, if you can have that on the battlefield against its Spelementals, that's going to be quite strong.
I have snuck a peek at a mulligan to 5, unfortunately, for the People's Champion Brian Zeng on Rakdos Rummaging. It looks like Jesse Piland is keeping his 6, so disaster might be striking for the Rakdos player here, as it's not good.
Yeah, I mean, this is the type of deck that kind of wants all the resources. You need the cards to discard to be able to find what you need. But look, you know, you're on the play. If you can still just manage to find a nice aggressive start here, you know, maybe get a fear of missing out on turn 2, put a Bloodghast or a Flamewake Phoenix into the graveyard, you can still maybe get some of those cards back.
Right. Aggressive decks typically suffer the most from mulligans, right? Aggressive decks and control decks, the decks where every resource matters,
right,
is the ones that suffer. The decks that have a lot of card advantage, they can usually undo the mulligan with time.
Absolutely.
All right, and an update, something that we are not going to be watching on camera, is John Puglisi Clark, the 8th seed, has uncrowned the king. Anthony Pepe has fallen 0-2. So congratulations to John Puglisi Clark moving on to the semifinals. We'll be potentially seeing him next round.
Right. The victor in the mono green mirror.
Yes, so that is 1 mono green into the semis of a potential maximum 3 because they were facing each other.
Right.
And we know the other 2 are each up a game.
And Brian here has decided to keep and is just trying to figure out the second card to put on the bottom, as he is going to 5 here.
Right, Flail going down. The hand of 5 is Mako, land, Requiting Hex, Cool But Rude.
Yeah, I mean, for a mulligan to 5, right? Turn 1 Mako into turn 2 Cool But Rude is the type of start that you want.
I don't know if there's anything better other than an Inti.
Right. Inti, fear of missing out would also be a nice thing to play here on turn 2.
So, Llanowar Elves, the play for Jesse Piland. Back we go Brian Zhang's way. Can you afford to not play Cool But Rude here and just Requiting Hex the Elf?
Yeah, you're just down a mana in that exchange, which is kind of unfortunate, right? And you want to put additional pressure here, so getting that Cool But Rude in play grows the Mako and you use your mana better, might just play it out.
Yeah, so this is a nice moment to just talk about resources and the different kind of resources in Magic, because life total is a resource, cards are a resource, but mana is also a resource, right? And at some point, you have to start managing your resources. So if you're already down on 1 resource, cards from mulligans, you can't really also afford to be down on mana and giving up that mana economy.
Right, and you're just not even progressing the board state very much, right? Because you're playing the then you're just hitting for 1 with the Mako, and that's your turn.
That sounds like playing not to lose rather than playing to win.
Yeah.
So, Brian Zhang realizes that, goes for the Cool But Rude, develops the board, and for the most part, no real punish from the other side.
Right.
Second Llanowar Elf, Saz's Chocobo. This turn would have maybe just been Llanowar Elf or just Saz's Chocobo fetch land pass.
Right.
But there's no disaster that happened, no Badger Mole Cub, on account of not casting that Requiting Hex.
Yeah, and now if you have the Requiting Hex, it's kind of interesting what you target. Normally the default is to go for the mana creatures here, but we're now looking at the point where Jesse Piland has access to 4 mana in play. Even if you kill one of the elves, next turn Jesse can simply play land number 4 and play one of his heavy hitters that all cost 4 mana, so it might actually be correct to just go after the Chocobo.
Right. We don't know how Brian's hand has shaped up since the original keep. Maybe the consideration right now is just leveling up Cool But Rude and getting in the red zone.
Yeah, there was a Flamewake Phoenix, I believe, in hand. That's obviously a very, very nice card to discard off of the Cool But Rude.
Fear of missing out, the other card.
Right,
okay.
So it doesn't have a third land then, right? Because he's only on 3 cards in hand.
Yeah, Flamewake Phoenix, Fear of Missing Out, and Requiting Hex.
Right.
So, is it FOMO or is it level up? How aggressive are you getting?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to go for the level up here. I think it's probably just adding more to the board. Maybe you get lucky here. Play to get lucky, right? You discard a card here, get that extra trigger from the Mako, try to find a land to play here.
Okay, card drawn for the turn. Body language says it's not a land. So, attacking with the Mako, Cool But Rude trigger.
Can still find a land here.
Goodbye Requiting Hex.
Okay, sure.
What is that card? We don't know.
This is 4 damage coming in.
4 damage coming in, and that means Flamewake Phoenix is now online.
Right.
But also 3 card types in the graveyard, so maybe FOMO will be online next turn.
Yeah, but did not find a land here. So no land number 3 here for Brian Zeng, but a decent board here. But Jesse is now at the point here where once you get to this point where you have access to 4 mana, there's just so many powerful things you can do as the mono-green landfall deck.
Now, this was a mulligan to 6 from Jesse, mulligan to 5 for Brian, obviously. There is a world where Jesse had a double land or elf, Saz's Chocobo,
all land hand,
and just draws air, doesn't find any of the
Sure.
payoffs, right?
Yeah.
There is a world. I'm not saying that's the world we live in.
Right.
We don't know. But that is a possibility when we get into the realm of mulligans, that the hands are not going to play out perfectly. The payoff isn't going to be here for Jesse
I mean,
Piland.
if you are cheering for Brian Zeng, that's what you're hoping for, right?
Let me huff my copium, Paul.
I mean, look, sure. I mean, certainly he could just have more Llanowar Elves in hand. Of course, this is a deck that's playing 26 lands and a ton of mana creatures. Sometimes if you do not find your top-end threats, yes, you can flood out with this deck.
Right. But that is for Jesse to let us know, as we will see what he plays out here.
So if you had something like an Icetail Explorer, probably would have just played it right away. But of course, both sides being quite methodical in their plays.
Yes. 4 mana. It is
Never mind.
Icetail.
Okay.
Wrong again,
Never
Xion.
mind. I guess just had it. Sure.
All right. Mill on the stack, as has been the case from every mono green player we've seen this weekend. That's
Yes.
a tap land
Right.
because
It is the 3rd land.
it is the 3rd land. Brian just checking the timing, and Jesse is saying, yes, the mill is still on the stack.
Right. So 1 mill on the stack, and then the forest comes in, so then now 2 mills resolved. You have thinned your deck out of a land. Increases the chance a little bit of hitting Esper Origins off this mill.
Right. So, 2 mills. Icetail, Badger Mole has only played 1 land this
Right.
turn. So, do it again, potentially.
Do it again, and this forest
Table
would come into play
Passage, trigger
untapped.
on the stack. Put 2 counters on the Saz's Chocobo.
Yeah, and the mono green also kind of having their engine to grow the Chocobo, their 1-drop online, and doing it a lot faster here.
And the Requiting Hex is in the graveyard, so
Yeah.
unless there's 2 in Brian's hand, will this decision, considering the Chocobo is the only quote-unquote threat going after Brian's life total right now, will that decision come back to bite Brian?
Yeah, so big turn here from Jesse, putting a couple of extra lands in play, and now we're looking at a 1-mana 6/7.
A 1 mana
no!
What was that, Paul? A 1 mana what? One more time, please.
It's a really, really large chocobo. And actually playing defensively here, Jesse passes a turn over to Brian Zeng.
Okay. All right. So a 1-mana 6/7 chocobo on the block means that we go back Brian's way. Fear of missing out. 1 card type away from Delirium. Marauding Mako up to 4 power. Flamewake Phoenix is online in the graveyard. And we'll see, since Brian discarded that Requiting Hex the previous turn, I think I see a duplicate in the hand.
Right, yeah, absolutely wants to fire off a removal spell here on the chocobo if you can. That does clear the way for a large attack here with the Marauding Mako. And also that Flamewake Phoenix. And I think you're right. I do see what looks to be a black removal spell. Yeah, that is a second copy of Requiting Hex in Brian's hand. Get that chocobo out of the way, but probably also just trying to decide what to do with the rest of his mana. You have the option to tick up the Cool But Rude, get some extra points of damage in for discard effects, or just get that Flamewake Phoenix in play right away to have an evasive attacker.
All right, we're giving Brian the chance to think. Here comes the land, and here comes Cool But Rude ticking up.
Yeah, and I imagine, oh, not even using the removal spell here. Okay.
Wow.
All right, so now you have the ability to attack with Flamewake Phoenix. You can rummage. You don't have to, of course, attack with the Mako. And that would be 4 points of damage coming in against Jesse.
Look, you know what?
Yeah.
Ryan is saying you don't have an Earthbender Ascension.
Right?
You don't have a Harmonizer.
Yeah.
You don't have any way to give Trample.
This is just me maximizing my damage to you and trying to put you as quick of a clock here as possible. I don't mind just chump blocking with fear of missing out if I have to.
Yeah, you're 10.
Right?
I am probably going to kill you next turn. I'll find a way.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to kill you next turn. So
Yep.
good luck. Try to find some Trample. I'm not beating it probably anyways if
That's
you have
right.
an Earthbender Ascension plus Ice Still Explorer. This Chocobo is going to be the least of my problems once that engine is online.
Yep.
So let's just do it.
Yeah, I mean, Brian identified his win condition here, right? It's the evasion from the Flamewake Phoenix with the continuous source of damage from that Cold But Rude that's in play.
All right. So impressive decision making here from Brian Zeng. I will see if it pays off, of course, but with the information he had, it makes perfect sense to me.
Right, absolutely here. And now on Jesse's side, of course, we do have that Ice Till Explorer, has the option to get that Fabled Passage in the graveyard. If you have nothing in hand, you can kind of stack those triggers, get all of that going again, maybe try to hit an Esper Origins in the graveyard, gain a little bit of life, and find more threats.
Right, because this is 4 mills just in
Right.
the dark. So
Absolutely.
that's 4 mills plus 2 lands removed out of the deck in the process. That is not bad odds.
No,
I'm
not
no
at all.
mathematician to find an Esper Origins.
That's absolutely right.
So, Brian, just doing the math of how bad this can get for me.
Yep. I mean, clearly it has something to do here.
Right. That looks like 3 mana and Earthbend a Forest. I don't like that.
Oh, my. Well, that might be
that-
close. I mean,
that-
Brian is at 18, so might be able to survive one attack.
Right, no doubling,
Right.
but it's scary territory. Oh, boy.
Okay.
Alrighty.
All right, here we go.
Hello, Earthbender Ascension. So, you need to close out the game likely this turn, Jesse Piland. Can you do it? Forests. As the Chocobo grows, Earthbender Ascension gets a quest counter.
Yeah, and certainly now with the 2 Fabled Passages in the graveyard, that's Earthbender Ascension will be turned online here,
Correct.
allowing you to get in for a lot of damage. Unclear if he's going to be able to do enough here if it's only the Earthbender Ascension with the lands.
Right. And we do see a mill from the fetch of the Earthbender Ascension. No land drops made so far. So
Right.
here we go. We're going to see it again. Land drop number 1. Mill on the stack.
Yep.
Saz's Chocobo gets 2/1 counter so far.
Right.
All right. Resolving everything in proper order is Jesse Piland.
Yeah, so the creature and the Earthbender Ascension only have the 1 counter on them. the land will come into play, but the Mills trigger is on the stack, right?
Correct. Hasn't resolved a mill yet. Hasn't resolved Earthbender Ascension. Hasn't resolved Saz's Chocobo.
right.
2 mills.
Now we get the Chocobo and the Earthbender Ascension trigger, I believe.
Unless he misses them.
Unless he misses it.
That is valid.
Okay, all right.
That first.
And
Then
there's the Chocobo. There
all
you
right,
go.
Didn't miss them. So, has 1 land drop left.
Yep.
All right, I have another update for you from the second mirror match of our top 8. In the Is It Prowess mirror, it is Jacob Durish, the number 3 seed, that takes down Ross Merriam. So, Dersh and Puglisi Clark into the top 4. 2 matches to be decided.
All right, and now we have the 4th counter on the Ascension. No more counters needs to be put, of course, on the Ascension if they do the shortcut here. But, of course, you're going to have to remember putting the extra +1/+1 counters. And, of course, the very, very important trample once you get that 4th counter on the Earthbender Ascension.
All right, Saz's Chocobo up to 12.
12 damage and
Counting.
presumably trample.
I'm going to say trample.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I think you got this.
All right.
So, other considerations here, very important. Graveyard from Brian.
Right.
Requiting Hex, Mountain,
Oh.
Hobgoblin. That's 3.
Hits in Esper Origin, so that is 2 more life to gain here. That is very, very relevant.
That negates a discard.
Right, from the Cool But Rude here, so that could give, if Brian has somehow saw a line here to get in for enough damage with the Phoenix, that 2 life could be the absolute difference between winning this game.
Step 1, 12 ya.
Brian?
Now Brian is doing math.
Right, do you just chump block here, or do you just go, you know what, I'll just take it and just try to kill you somehow next turn? Now the Mako is not really going to be able to do a great job of attacking. Okay.
No blocks. Take 12 down to 6.
Okay.
This is the prize for all of that
Right.
milling. Esper Origins. Jesse Piland plays 4 of them for a reason.
Now, one thing that we can also consider here is the fear of missing out that's in play. There's 3 types in the graveyard, it seems. So if Brian can also find another way to get a 4th type into the graveyard, that would mean an additional attack here with the Flamewake Phoenix.
So, surveilling 2 still, trying to decide. This could be the end because Jesse Piland will almost certainly be able to lethal on the way back, even though we know that Brian Zeng very likely has a requiring hex for the Saz's Chocobo. That will not be enough against an active Ice Explorer plus Earthbender.
Right,
Ascension.
you can just give everything trample, right?
Right.
And kind of distribute all the counters wherever you please.
So, Jesse has to survive this turn, but has to not get ahead of himself and has to plan ahead as well, hence this decision.
Right.
And the decision is top.
Wow. All right, so Jesse's still deciding here on the flashback on Esper Origins. Very, very big turn, like you mentioned. This turn cycle will likely determine the outcome of this game.
Which could be the outcome of the match as well.
Absolutely.
Now, I will give an update on the other side. We did see earlier in the look-in that we took, Micah Paluda winning Game 1 against Simon Byrne on Is It Spelementals. That match has gone to Game 3.
Okay.
Spelementals has evened things up, and there's a Game 3 in progress happening over there.
All right. So might be able to get a glimpse of that potentially if Jesse comes out on top in this match, in this game, rather.
All right, so Jesse doing the final calculations here. As a reminder, even though the top 8 is untimed, players do need to make decisions in a timely manner.
Right, so there's at least a permanent on top. It's just, does Jesse want to draw the other one? They both seem to be pretty good relevant spells.
Right.
Oh, never mind.
Both into the bin. Royal Treatment was one of them.
Blind flip here. Oh, that's a good one, the blind flip. Might form a Harmonizer. So that is basically a guaranteed win on the following turn.
Brian's moving fast, though.
Did he? Is there something here? Does he have a flail? Is there a way to get in for enough damage? Jesse's sitting at 12. No blockers for the Flyers.
I think there's an enchantment. I think there's a cool but rude in hand. That means that if you can get that in the bin, you can activate FOMO. However, and this is what Brian is reading and might need to confirm with a judge here, is if you get the Delirium on fear of missing out off of an attack from the cool but rude trigger, that's what he's asking right now, do you get the extra combat step?
That's a great question. It feels like you need to have Delirium when you attack.
I believe so. That's my
right?
suspicion, is it will not trigger on the attack if you don't already have Delirium. So can Brian get that cool but rude in the graveyard a different way?
Right. I mean, you could just kill your own... Well, that wouldn't work because you can't actually get the trigger. You cannot kill your own fear of missing out.
Right.
Now, there is another mode on Cool But Rude that you can perhaps choose like you mentioned before, the gamble mechanic. You can search for something here.
Oh, we're gambling.
Oh, right. We are gambling. Okay. What are we looking for here?
All right. It's got to be a flail, right?
Yeah,
Either it goes to the graveyard as an artifact,
right?
Or you keep it and it's a discard.
And no matter what, you get to deal 2 points of damage here as well.
Right. So, time to randomize.
All right. Kind of want the flip. Well, we'll see.
You want to keep it, but...
At the same time, you don't because you want the Delirium.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 reroll. What is the discard?
All right.
4.
To the graveyard. There's
Goodbye,
the flail. All right, so now we have Delirium, and that's 2 points of damage to Jesse.
Jesse down to 10 again.
Jesse down to 10. Flamewake Phoenix is 2 in the air. The ground creatures, I don't think, are going to factor into this.
Correct.
At all. So is there a way? Now, Flamewake Phoenix plus Cool But Rude by itself is 4 damage.
Yes.
If you get the second attack, that's 8 damage.
Correct.
That would put Jesse down to 2 life.
Correct.
Is there another way to discard? Oh, the second combat step. You get the Flamewake Phoenix back.
Yes,
right?
I believe so.
And is that perfectly lethal here?
I believe you go to beginning of combat again. Each combat step, I believe, has a beginning of combat step.
So this will put Jesse down to 6 life
Yep.
after this attack. And then combat happens again. Flamewake Phoenix comes in. You get another rummage. That's exactly enough.
That's exactly
No
enough.
way.
On a mulligan
Oh, my gosh.
to 5. On a mulligan to 5. Brian Zeng has found exact lethal, and we are going to a game 3 here.
Oh, my goodness. Off of the gamble mode on Cool But Rude.
All right, let's bring it down. We're calm. We're excited.
No, I'm not calm. I am not calm at all, Monty.
We need to be calm.
There is
Paul.
no reason to be calm after that.
All right. Okay, so, Paul, I'm going to let you talk about sideboarding in a moment, but I'm also going to update. Michael Paluda on Mono Green has beaten Is It Spelementals. So, the last hope to keep us from 3 Mono Green Landfall in the top 4 is Brian Zeng. The people's champion has just evened it up. Talk to me about sideboarding for game 3.
All right. Well, now Jesse is on the play. And remember, I mentioned it previously, and I'm not sure if it's going to work its way into the equation here. But now that Jesse's on the play, do you think that perhaps Mossborn Hydra is something that you're interested in? There's not that much interaction, right? If you can get out that Mossborn Hydra on turn number 2, maybe this is a racing situation. That's what it's kind of looked like already, right? So I feel like that's something that you can consider, especially because you're on the play.
Okay. Any other potential changes maybe from Brian's side on the draw? Do you ever get more reactive than you already are?
I think you can. I think if he didn't bring in, for example, a card like Intimidation Tactics, I think on the draw you might want to find some more answers, some more ways to maybe get the Mossborn Hydra that might get boarded in. Perhaps get a turn 2 Badgermole Cub off the battlefield. So I could see him maybe playing a more defensive game plan. Could even see something like a Pyroclasm, right? Maybe when you're on the draw, that's when you bring in the Pyroclasm. There's a singleton card. It's for a particular matchup. It might be this one on the draw.
Well, if you're like me and your blood is still pumping from seeing that comeback from Rakdos Rummaging, do I have good news for you, because you can head over to scarcitygames.com and pick up your copies of Cool But Rude, as well as all other cards from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now, you can head over to scarcitygames.com/mtg-TMT for all your sealed and single Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles needs, including the MVP of that previous game, Cool But Rude.
Wow. Okay, so what happens if you don't discard the flail?
Oh, I thought you were wowing from my beautiful ad transition.
No, I
there.
didn't even hear what you said.
You were still thinking about that game? All right. No, I get it. I get it. All right.
Whatever. That was incredible. Awesome stuff from Brian, knowing exactly what he needed there to win that game. And that's through the 2 life that Jesse gained on top
I
as
think
well.
if you don't discard the flail, it's an easy win. Because you just play the flail, discard your remaining cards in hand.
Would that have given you? Oh, excuse me. Of course, with the Cool But Rude.
Right.
Yes,
Each
yes.
one deals 2 damage, even though you're not getting a pump from it.
Right.
It doesn't matter because you had multiple cards in hand.
Because Jesse is sitting at 10 life. That's at least 4 damage from the Phoenix, and then an additional 2 from the Rummage, and then 2 more discards. Yeah.
Right. So this is the last match happening in our feature match area. This is the last game currently happening. While they shuffle up, while they finish this, I'm going to once again update where we stand. On one side of the bracket, it is John Puglisi Clark on mono green in the semifinals against Michael Paluda on mono green in the semifinals. That means we have one mono green Landfall guaranteed to be making it into the finals. That's one side of the bracket. On the other side of the bracket, we have Jacob Durish on Is It Prowess, waiting for an opponent, which would be the winner of this match. Brian Zeng, the people's hero, the lone player in this top 8, not playing Is It or Mono Green on Rakdos Rummaging. Just won on a mulligan to 5 to even things up against Jesse Piland. So, one game decides if the people's hero moves on into the semifinals.
How do you know all the people are rooting for the Rakdos Rummaging deck?
I've got YouTube chat here in front of me. YouTube chat unanimously agrees.
Unanimously? There's not even one mono green player on there?
There was a poll. The results of the poll is 2-1 in favor of Brian, but those are the people, the ones voting for green, that just like to go with what they think is stronger. It's not what is in their hearts.
They're not following their hearts.
Yeah, it's not what they want, it's what they think will happen, because then they'll feel smart if they get it right.
And also, after that game, if we ran that again, we might see a few more percentage points going Brian Zeng's way.
Right. If they're being honest with themselves, if they really look within themselves, everybody in YouTube chat would be picking Brian.
Yeah, what an awesome. I mean, even if Brian loses, that was one of the coolest wins that I've seen all weekend.
So, that was absolutely one of the coolest wins. You know, this is you and I's last round here at this tournament. This is the last game we're casting. To get to watch that here is the perfect capstone on what's already been a fantastic weekend.
Completely agree. All right, will both players keep a full grip here? No.
Neither one will.
Snap no. All right. Well, I guess we're on 6.
We're on 6. We're watching Scrappy Magic
here
in the top 8. And you know what? I got no complaints.
That's totally fine.
Jim Davis looking fly in the background, waiting for his chance to join Corey Baumeister back in the booth to bring you the end of this tournament. But we have one more game of Magic before you get your chance, Jim.
And Jesse on the play now. Big advantage, of course, in any matchup, but particularly this one where it does seem like it really kind of comes down to who can kind of get going quicker.
And notably, with the number 1 seed falling, if Jesse wins this, he will be on the play for the remainder of the top 4 as well.
Yeah.
So that advantage with Anthony Pepe falling in the quarterfinals now goes potentially to Jesse Piland.
Yes, that's true. All right, both players on 6. Let's just get a really great game of Magic. I mean, we already got one. Actually, game 1 was not bad either.
I would say both games have been delightful to watch. Yes, there have been moments of tank, but they have really been paid off by
Absolutely.
very big explosive turns to follow.
Yeah.
To identify which of the 4 pods you belong to. Once you see which pod
Is this decision on Jesse currently, right? Because he's on the play.
Decisions on Jesse. Brian, hand on table, looks calm. I would guess that Brian is keeping, but Jesse is currently bottoming first.
Right, just trying to figure out what to put on the bottom here. All right. And Brian has made his decision, so here we go.
6 is across the board, and here comes Llanowar Elves.
Turn 1 elf. Brian, do you have a requiting hex for the Llanowar elf?
Sure does.
All right.
On the play, you let it live. On the draw, the elf is gone.
All right, here it is. A Saz's Chocobo into a Fabled Passage.
So,
2-3 in play. All right, Brian, your turn. 2-drop. What do you got? Requiting hex, maybe.
Intimidation
okay.
tactics.
Is there a Mossborn Hydra? Ooh, that is a lot of action, but no lands here. Might be interested in just taking Badger Mole Cub here, right? You take the Badger Mole Cub, Jesse just doesn't have a play next turn.
Doesn't have a play for potentially 2 more turns. What are you going to do? Warp a Harmonizer and do nothing?
Okay, so Jesse needs to rattle off a couple of lands here in a row to be able to cast the spells in his hand.
All right, Paul, I'm not letting myself believe yet. I'm just letting you know we're not there yet.
Right, we are not quite there yet, but we're getting set up here.
We're getting set up. The excitement is slowly rising.
Hey, as commentators, we're not really supposed to be biased in any way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I would love...
Jesse, Brian.
I believe you. I would love both players to have a great time at this tournament, and I am not rooting for anyone in particular.
No.
Go Rakdos.
Okay. Oh, you know what? Honestly, both players probably pretty happy. They have punched their ticket to the Pro Tour.
That is true. That is absolutely true. My interests are not, of course, against any individual player, but the magic that we get to experience in the remainder of the top 4.
Interesting, choosing not to sacrifice the Fabled Passage. I guess you just don't have a land, so you're just trying to not thin out your deck?
Right. This is, you know, we talk about minute percentage points, right? Thinning a deck is just as impactful as not thinning the deck when it comes to you really want that land drop.
Yeah, but the only issue is if you ripped... I guess if you ripped the Badger Mole Cub, you wouldn't be able to play it.
Correct.
Right.
If you rip exactly a Badger Mole Cub, you wouldn't be able to play it.
Or Esper Origins, right? That would be another card that you would want to play. So actually, I think it might have been better to sacrifice a land just to give yourself the opportunity to draw a 2-drop to play.
You know what? You make very good points, Mr. Xian.
All right, here. That is a big Saz's Chocobo, big land drop off the top here for Jesse Piland. Brian, with a Cool But Rude, can get his advantage, his engine going. Attack with that Mako. Grow it, try to find some answers. Really would love to be able to go swamp Requiting Hex to get that Chocobo off the battlefield here.
Flame Wake Phoenix discard,
okay.
Paul. My excitement is slowly building.
What if Jesse draws a Fabled Passage and warps in a Mightform Harmonizer?
Don't do that to me. You really just do not. You do not need to harsh my
all right, there it is. This is good for all fans of Rakdos Rummaging.
All right, chat. You officially have my blessing.
Jesse needs a land.
Start believing.
Jesse needs a land, and he hits it. So that's an Icetail Explorer here into Fabled Passage. Jesse going back-to-back lands here to be able to actually play the cards that he needs out of his hand.
Stop believing. I was wrong. Stop believing. Stop believing right now.
So that allows Jesse to have an additional land drop here. He's got the Icetail Explorer. He's going to be able to play 2 lands a turn with Mightform Harmonizer in hand.
This is what happens when you believe, chat. This is what happens. So, Icetail Explorer on the board. 1 card in hand. We and Brian know that that is a Mightform Harmonizer.
And Bossing Say, a nice little hit here as well if you need some action out of the graveyard.
So what is in the hand here for Brian? Doing math.
Yeah, I mean, if he's got one of the two bitter triumphs, certainly would love to be able to fire that off. Hey, if you got land number 4, might be interested in gambling for a bitter triumph, something along those lines.
Yeah. Now, one thing to note here. No evasion, technically.
Right.
You can double all you want as long as there's nothing with trample on the battlefield.
That's true.
So there is that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm grasping at straws, but that's what it takes.
Yeah, big
Last game was all straws.
Right. Yeah, big turn here for Brian Zeng. You know, it just kind of comes down to what he's working with in his hand. Of course, he's got a free attack if he likes with the Marauding Mako. With the Cool But Rude, you are going to at least turn the Mako into a 3/3 with a Rummage trigger. Now, if you also choose the Gamble mode on Cool But Rude and go fetch a card, then Marauding Mako will be a 4/4 on attack.
Right. Now, Brian, doing the math. We don't know what's in the hand.
That's right.
That is part of the issue, part of the calculation.
Okay, place.
Multiversal Passage. This looks like it's going to be shocked.
Shock. All right. So then are we still
Is
looking?
it happening?
Is it happening? Are we looking for bitter triumph
2.
here?
Attack trigger. Discard Verge. Not gambling
At
yet.
all? Oh, okay.
Trying to find it first.
Right, of course, of course. So this is a 3/3.
Whoa, 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 friend. Are you going to risk this? Are you going to block and
Is there an instant speed way to discard?
another Mako cycle?
Right, that
if
would
it's
do
a
it.
Mako, that would be a very risky, costly block from Jesse Piland.
Right?
Are you risking this, Jesse?
That is the only card here, right?
I believe it might be.
Yeah, and there is the one in play, so
Yes.
maybe you just hope he doesn't have it. He did mulligan here as well.
Blocks. Is it?
Nope. It is not. It is in Inti here, so does get to save a big chunk of life total here, and now we have Ice Tail Explorer plus Might Form Harmonizer online.
Okay, so here comes the Harmonizer. Thumbs up. I am hellbent. Do your thing.
Yeah, this is a lot of doubling triggers here off the
Four
Might Form.
doubles.
Four doubles. So starting at 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. That is a force chump on the Inti. Inti will go to the graveyard.
Inti will go to the yard.
Doesn't even actually have to do the last sacrifice here if you don't want.
Right.
Because Brian's sitting at 13 life and the Ice Tail Explorer would be a 16 power creature.
Right.
You could even potentially get Bossing Say in play if you'd like, and that would still just be an attack for 16. But it's also nice to just play the Fabled Passage and just not crack it. Keep it around because you have the Might Form Harmonizer in play.
Escape Tunnel. That will guarantee the lethal next turn.
Has to block.
Goodbye, Inti.
All right, so just absolutely needs to find a way to get this, I'm going to say Ice Tail Explorer still, off the battlefield here. Maybe. It's rough either way, right?
You lose to every land if you leave the Harmonizer alive.
You can keep the Mako back.
Yes, but
I mean, but the flip side is Jesse gets to keep playing lands out of the graveyard. You're getting the 4 triggers. You have 4 Esper Origins in your deck. You have the Bossing Say. I mean, both situations are really tough.
Hey, Paul, do you believe in miracles? 50-50s. Gambling. Playing a swap?
Playing the land here.
Am I missing something?
Does he have a card in hand?
I don't believe so.
So he's just putting a Phoenix into the graveyard here, I think, and is going to be looking to maybe try to win the game off of the Phoenix, because this deals 2 damage to Jesse. Mako is now a 4/4. You put a Phoenix into the yard and hit your opponent for 4.
Carnage.
Okay.
All right, Paul. Here's the problem, chat. I'm going to rat on Paul. He's got the whole weekend not knowing what Carnage does because it hasn't come up.
You know, this is not cool, Monty. Monty, you need to chill.
All right, Carnage, Crimson Chaos.
It's okay. It's good. We're going to put it right up there anyways. Everybody's going to be able to read the card. There you go. Obviously, 4-mana, 4/3 Trampler when it
returns
enters.
NT.
Right.
That's a blocker.
Right, and you can cast it for its Mayhem cost. So with if
Correct.
you don't have any cards in hand, you can Madness it in.
That's what just happened.
That's right. Okay.
Deals combat damage to a player, sacrifice it. So, here comes the attack. No card to rummage for
Right.
NT or Cool But Rude.
But this is a decently sized attack. It's an attack for 6. Jesse going, yeah, that's fine. I can take this. Can Jesse find a way here? Earthbender Ascension would certainly do it here.
So,
Oh,
yeah.
we're making it just unblockable, right? Yeah, that's just lethal. Of course.
That's what I was thinking isn't
No,
this
I didn't
just
see the escape tunnel. I thought
Yeah.
it was a fabled passage.
All right, so
All right, the People's Champion got close.
the People's Champion has fallen. Chat, I tried to believe. I tried to give us hope, but